Hey there, this is Straight Talk Consulting with CEO and owner Kevin Holmes. Kevin is a real estate investor and motivational speaker who helps people become investors and achieve their dreams. In today's segment, we'll discuss different options to achieve financial freedom. This is such a great topic. So, Kevin, tell us, how did you achieve your financial freedom?
I did it the old fashioned way, hard work.
Okay, hard work.
Yes.
Expand on that, please.
Well, by going to trade school, I went to George Washington Vocational High School. So I learned electrical installation. That was my trade. So I continued that after high school, um, doing side jobs. When even I lived in the projects, I would do people ceiling fans. I would do little arts, put chandeliers up in people's apartment, change the lock, whatever. I was always a handy kind of guy.
Really? So, as a teenager, were you still in high school doing this, or just
No,
after you graduated?
after I graduated, even when I was probably my 11th grade, I was still doing side jobs. I was able to do side jobs at the same time.
Oh, wow. Okay. Trade school. It's funny because most people don't really think about trade school anymore. It's more about going to college instead of a trade. So,
Well, listen, college is not for everybody. I would never really felt I struggled through school as a child. I never really thought that I was gonna be able to go to college. Um, I just felt like a trade was more my thing. I wasn't quote unquote college material. So getting out of high school was my main factor. My parents is make sure I get out of high school. That was important. So I just knew I struggled through school, so I just knew college wasn't my thing.
oh wow. Okay. But you were able to go to George Westing High School and learn a trade, and you were able to pick that up. And what were your plans after learning this trade?
Well, I wanted to work for a company to get experience. So I did go to co-op. You work a week, go to school a week. Your last year, so I did that.
Okay.
And worked for a company. It was called the Firehouse, and they owned all these buildings, and they were like the maintenance team, and we would go in there, and that's when my first renovation and gotten out, and doing that whole thing with an apartment. And then I wound up working for an electrical contractor, Tony Filazzo. I actually talk about him in my book. Um, Working with him, and he went to work with, and this is my book called Daddy, I'm the Man You Could Have Been, that you can actually find it on my website. And even with the book, I talk about my experience with Tony, working with him uh, with co-op, and that was a lot of experience I got from him because I actually worked with the boss right next to him, so I picked up a lot of his expertise.
Hmm. So even at that time, were you thinking about financial freedom?
I don't think at that time, but I kind of maybe told a couple of people this, but it's kind of crazy. But as a child, when I seen an old man,
Mm-hmm.
oh, like your grandfather, as crazy as it sound, I always felt like if he's an old man, he's got a lot of money.
Why? Because of his age, he has a lot of money.
Yeah, I don't know where
He
I got
weathered the
that from.
storm of life, and
Yeah, I just felt like your grandfather always had money because he lived so long, so he had so much time to save or whatever. But and my grandfather didn't have no money, so that was a real reality for me. But that's how I thought. I thought if you're older, you have so much time, you should be able to till you get reality and realize that it's not true. It's not how much money you make. It's what you do with the money you make.
yeah, and we know today, especially with senior citizens, how many of them are barely surviving on Social Security and struggling.
Yes. Well, if you think about Social Security and even a pension, two things you can't stop is taxes and inflation. So depending, we're living longer, so that's why it's so important to invest. So I looked at things like that at a young age. So I never wanted that to be me.
Hmm. Okay. So with your trade, you figured.
Well, I figured I was doing side jobs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So making that extra money made a big difference. So you're working, plus you're doing side jobs. Even at 12 years old, I worked in a pizza shop. I talk about that in my book too. And that's one of the things I learned about persistence.
Okay.
Because at that time, when I went to ask the guy, did he need help? And he's like, no, no, no. And I stayed there 2.5 hours until he said yes. So at a young age, I was very determined and very focused. And of course, I talk about in my book, being a father at 16 made a big difference too. So I had to grow up a little fast.
Gotcha. So there are people who obviously are not thinking the trade route,
Right.
right? And they go to college because in their minds, and in mine too, because I have my college degrees, that going to college, that's going to give you financial freedom. So let's compare and contrast the difference of maybe a trade school versus going to college and how you can achieve that financial freedom.
Well, like I said, I felt like I wasn't college material. So for me, I looked at the fact of if I work hard and I invest my money. So
Mm-hmm.
you look at, let's take a doctor and a lawyer.
Okay.
Say a lawyer got to go to school for 8 years. We we get out of high school together. He goes to college. I come out of high school. I have a trade. I work for a company. I start doing side jobs. Right. So now he's in college for 2 years. I got 2 years experience. Right. And then 4 years later, he gets his bachelor's degree. 4 years later, I got 4 years of experience of doing electrical. After
Okay.
5 years, you're apprentice. 5 years, you're journeyman, right? So now, if
And you're
I
making money all this
right, so
this time.
I'm doing side jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I have a salary, and I invest. I start investing in real estate. Now, mind you, if his parents can't afford to pay for his college, he has student loans.
Okay.
I have no student loans. So I'm investing
Mm-hmm.
and buying real estate every other year. Uh, if you look at it, and if I buy every other year a property, financially, who's going to be in a better situation?
Yeah, that makes sense. So it's 4 years for the undergraduate degree, then another what, 2 or 3 years for the law degree. So that's 7 years of not really earning, right? So
Mhm.
that's what you're saying.
Right. So
Okay.
I'm saying I got a 7 year jump start
Mm-hmm.
if I invest my money right. So if I was doing side jobs, working for a company, and I saved my money to invest, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not knocking college, but I'm just trying to show there's another way to reach your financial goals, and I'm a proven fact because I've done it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I know people in their 50s and they still have student loans. So when you look at me having assets and the property appreciating, and they have the student loans that they have to pay, and only interest over 20 something years that they're paying on it,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be a different situation financially. Same thing, a doctor and going to school for 10 to 12 years, right? They're going to make a lot of money, but they don't have financial freedom yet. They're working like a dog because they got their new job. They practice, they're a doctor, they do residency and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have student loans.
Yeah.
So with that time, I'm making a fraction of their money that they're going to make, but I'm investing my money. So at the end of the day, it's not gonna, now he or she can have, MD on their resume. I'm an electrician and an investor, but what are everybody working for financial freedom?
That's true. So financial freedom, and it's going to take them that much longer to achieve that financial freedom if they're weighed down with student loan debt and the fact that they're really not earning until maybe what, any sort of significant salary until maybe 7 years later after their
After,
education.
right.
Yeah,
So
that
when you
makes
look
sense.
at that, they may make a quarter million or 300, $400,000. But if I have 10 to 20 properties, plus I work for the city, plus I have a pension, plus I have all these properties,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm getting my cash flow. So when you look at the two, so my thing is just there's so many ways to reach your financial goals, and I'm a prime example of doing that. So I want people to understand that not everybody's going to be college material. Some you have guys that are in the stock market that do very well too. It's all a risk,
Mm-hmm.
but the whole American dream is dead.
It's on life support.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
agree with that.
I mean, everything is so expensive, um, and even now, you see with these jobs, everything is 401k. Most people are just putting 20% in their 401k because they need money to live.
Mm-hmm. Not
So,
even 20%. Most people are doing probably like six, maybe maxing out
no, I'm
at
saying
like
they're
10.
putting 10%, and no, not too many people putting 20%. But
Yeah.
even if you was able to put 20%, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say you could put $25,000 in your 401k,
Yeah.
and I'm taking $25,000 and or $30,000 every year buying a property out of New York, Charlotte. Property's 110, $120,000, and I'm getting $500 profit a month off of that property,
Mm.
and the property is appreciating, right?
Okay.
So, will I really need a 401k when I have 30 properties?
It's a good point. It's definitely food for thought, and I would say no.
Right, because the whole thing of going to college, working, is all about financial freedom. So, at the end of the day, even with my job, I retired at 53 years old.
Okay.
So, the guys would say to me, Kevin, you're too young to retire. And when people say that, I said retirement has nothing to do with age. It has everything to do with finance.
Yeah.
Because that's why you're there. Most people don't like their job. You're there for a paycheck. But like I said in one of my other videos, you do overtime, but people don't invest their money right. Right? So you got to figure, we're putting this money in this 401k. Yeah, it's going to get some interest,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's easy. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it, but you have to do more because when you take the money out of your 401k, if it's still there, right, it's going to be taxed,
Yes,
right?
that's
If
true.
you have a property, you refinance, you don't get taxed. You
Mm-hmm.
get taxed on profit, not money that you take from your house, which is the equity. You don't get taxed on that. So if I have that property and I refinance and take $50,000 out, I don't get taxed on it,
Hmm.
right? I take that $50,000 and buy another property or another two properties.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, financial freedom comes in all different forms, right? So, you don't necessarily have to go the college route, right,
Mm-hmm.
to achieve financial freedom. You could go an alternate route, but at the end of the day, like you said, it's not a matter of, the money that you make, it's what you do with the
The
money.
money you make.
Exactly.
But you know what happens? A lot of times people would say, I don't want to deal with tenants. And let me tell you, I've been doing this for over 30 years. And there's been a lot of times that I had to get off the bridge because ready to be done with it, dealing with tenants, and say, I'm just going to sell.
Mm-hmm.
But now, looking back, that would have been the worst mistake I could ever do.
Yeah.
I mean, these properties right now in New York are $1 million. I don't even know how people, I told friends to buy properties in Jamaica, Queens, and they laughed at me. They told me it's a hood.
Jamaica back in the day was the hood.
Yeah, it was. But the thing is, you have to have a vision. You have to see. If you look at Jamaica, Queens, it's right by the Bell Parkway, Green Acres, the Van Wyck,
The
the
airport.
airport. It's prime location. You have parks, the mall. So
Mm-hmm.
all of these things you have to look at. But most people don't have a vision. They just look at the negative side of something.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people all the time, it's not for everybody. But what you have to do, you have to invest your money because you're not going to be able to live off a 401k and Social Security. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, you are right about that. You're definitely right. So your tip to everyone today, as far as achieving financial freedom, if you had to summarize it, what would you say?
I would say it's important. It's not how much money you make, it's what you do with the money you make. And if you don't go to college, even like a barber or someone that does hair,
Mm-hmm.
you're making the cash, right?
Yeah.
And you probably don't claim it all because you feel like I don't want to pay taxes. But even something like that, no, you need to show that you're making money uh, to be able to write things, or if you have an LLC, so people get used to. We're creatures of habit, so you get used to putting that money in your pocket and spending it instead of putting that money, okay, and claiming it. So how you going to be able to buy something if you claiming that you're not making any money in your business? And that's what people have a misconception of. You have to show money to be able to borrow money. Everybody goes, oh, do an LLC and they'll be able to get credit, credit, credit. The bank is not giving you any money, right? If your business is not showing that you're making money.
That's true.
Right? How can you write off something if you're not making money? So yeah, the banks after a couple of years they start giving you credit cards, maybe 5,000, 10,000. But it takes a while for your business to be able to get established, to be able to have that credit. But time you do that, it's best to save your money, invest your money, and this way that house goes and appreciate, and then at that point you be able to take cash out or don't take cash out. You can hold on to it and just save that money that you would have put in your 401k. And maybe put 10% in your 401k. I always tell people, even with money, you need to have 80% of your money invested and 20% of your money in the bank, because all you're doing is keeping your money in the bank and somebody else is investing your money. But it's a false sense of security when people have money in the bank. They have all their money. People like to look at their statements. It does nothing for you. All you're doing is letting somebody else invest your money and they're giving you peanuts. So that's why it's important to understand how money works. And that's why I started Straight Talk Consulting and actually having my mentees and teaching them about how money works and what to do with their money, how to invest. Because most people, our parents didn't teach us that.
No, they didn't. They said, make your money, put it in the bank for a rainy day.
Well, they were in survival mode. That's why.
Yeah, that's true. So now it's great that you're offering an alternative. You're someone who has already done it, right? You've been doing this, investing in real estate for over 30 years, and you've achieved your financial freedom. So we'll hopefully be able to inspire other people
Absolutely.
to want to do the same thing. So we're concluding. We're going to wrap up for today's segment. And we'll say that if you want more content like this, remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is at Straight Talk Today. And you'll find more content like this and motivational quotes that will get you all on the right path to financial freedom. Any closing words for you, Mr. Holmes?
Well, I would like to say, believe in yourself. Surround yourself with positive people. A lot of times you have people around you doubting what you can do. And a lot of times it's not out of hate, sometimes it's out of love, but they're putting their fears on you, what they would not do. So you can listen to them, but at the end of the day, if you fall, those people are not going to pick you up. You're only going to pick yourself up. So follow your dream. Sometimes you got to bump your head to get where you need to go. So sometimes you got to go through things to get through some things. So stay focused, and we're here to educate you, to get you your financial freedom. And we'll see you on the next video. We out.